In this video, I'm going to be putting Shaquille O'Neal in today's NBA. I've loaded him up into the 2024 draft class. So he's alongside Zachary and Alex Sarr over here. I reckon he'll probably get drafted first as he's an 83 overall. He's 300 pounds and 7'1". It's going to be really interesting to see how he does in the modern NBA. Because of course you got big men shooting 3-pointers, but I doubt Shaq will be doing any of that this time around. But let's go ahead and head into the draft lottery. You got the Pistons on a 14% chance along with the Wizards of getting that first pick. So let's go ahead and see who's going to get the first pick. It is going to be the Washington Wizards. So they're going to get the first pick in the draft. So hopefully they pick right and they do end up drafting Shaquille O'Neal. We'll skip to the draft to see what ends up happening. And of course they are going to go ahead and pick up Shaquille O'Neal. Something would be very wrong if they didn't go ahead and pick him. But we'll go ahead and simulate the rest of the draft so we can go ahead and enter the season. You got Wesley getting drafted over Zach and Alex Sarr over here. So Zachary's going over to the Hornets, Sarr's going over to the Trailblazers, and Castle there going over to Detroit. If you look at the team around him, he has of course got Kyle Kuzma, he's got Danny Avdia over there as well as Koulibaly. So it's not a bad roster, but it is definitely going to require a lot of work, and maybe he'll grow alongside some of them because of course not all of them are really old and they have got a lot of progression that needs to happen. But we'll go through to the first season to see what Shaq can do in his rookie season. Can he get that Rookie of the Year trophy? We'll just have to wait and see. But comment down below how you think Shaq will get on in the modern NBA. Do you think he'll be able to win a couple of championships or not? And then see if your prediction's right by the end of the video. I reckon he'll probably get 2 championships, maybe 1 Defensive Player of the Year. I'm not sure whether he'll get an MVP award, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So I think 2K's bugging a little bit because it hasn't got the stats at all for any of these awards. We got Doncic though getting MVP. Let's check his stat line for this season. You can see he's putting up 33, 11, and 11. So pretty much a triple-double throughout the season, which is absolutely ridiculous, off 50% from field. But Shaq is going to come through and win Rookie of the Year, putting up 18, 8, and 1 over there, which is great to see. Any 3-pointers from the big man? Unfortunately not. None attempted throughout the season. Kind of expected. You got Simons getting 6th Man of the Year, Wemby getting Defensive Player of the Year. That is a ridiculous stat line. Lacking a little bit on the assists, otherwise it would have been a triple-double as well. But these are absolutely nuts. You got Hardy getting Most Improved Player, Anthony Edwards Clutch Player of the Year, 33 points per game for Ant over there. Absolutely ridiculous. But let's go ahead and take a look at the All-NBA teams. Wemby was injured partway through the season, which isn't great to see. LeBron James making the All-NBA third team over there. Shaq not in any of them, neither in the defensive teams as well. And the rookie first team, he is going to find himself there, of course, being Rookie of the Year. He's up to an 85 overall, and the 76ers had 3 rookies in that all-first team over there, which is really, really interesting. But the Wizards themselves, they did all right this season. They have got the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference, which is really surprising considering their team is fairly young, and they haven't really got a standout star on their team. They tied with the Knicks and the Pistons for their record with 44 wins. But let's go ahead and get through this playoffs. We'll simulate the play-in tournament. The first matchup is going to be up against the 5th seed with the New York Knicks. The first game is going over to the Knicks, which is not great. So is game number 2. So the Wizards are down 2-1 right now, and they're not able to pull it back to a 2-2. So it's a must-win game for them as they're 3-1 down in this series. So let's drop them in the Simcast to see whether they can make a little bit of a comeback here. They are at home, so hopefully they can make that home court advantage count. They are slowly going up in this game, but there's only 4 points in it with 54 seconds left to go. So we'll hop in the Simcast to see whether Shaq can help this team get through to the second round of the playoffs. There's 54 seconds left to go. Wizards inbounding the ball. They got Jordan Poole running the point. Shaq is on the court, so maybe he can make a difference. They got a screen on the left-hand side. Poole thought about shooting. He's up against Bronson though, so this is a tough New York Knicks team as the Knicks get the intentional foul there. And Shaq is shooting free throws. Has he got any better? No, he is not. He's missing the first one over there. Even in the modern NBA, he's missing his free throws. The second one is going to go in though to put them up to 91 points to 86. So the Knicks need a comeback if they want to send this series to bed. Brunson out to DiVincenzo for 3 as he misses that one. Shaq able to get the board, and Shaq again getting fouled, and he's again at the line. Come on, Shaq, you've got to knock down your free throws. and he misses the first one. That was horrendous. Can he knock down the second one though this time? No, unfortunately not. It's off the right side, so the Knicks are going to come the other way. They got just under 30 seconds left to go. You got Jalen Brunson at the top of the arc. He's found a bit of space, and that's an easy layup for him to knock that one down. Hopefully they're not going to send Shaq again to the free throw line. This time it's going to be someone else, which is good to see. And Kispert is a lot better at shooting his free throws than Shaq, and he knocks down both of them as the Knicks call time. So the Knicks need a big bucket. Is it going to be Jalen Brunson to get it? He's driving in, but Shaq's going to come through and get the block as the Knicks intentionally foul again. That's what Shaq's good for, getting those blocks, as Avdia is now sent to the line. He knocks down the first one. I think this is game over for the Knicks. The second one, is it going to go in? It just about does as well. So 95-8. I reckon that's probably just game over for the Knicks, as the Washington Wizards are managing to get it done and survive another game. So it's 3-2 in the series. Let's see whether we can get the dub. It's looking like Kuzma is injured, which isn't great, but the Knicks are not going down without a fight. And they're actually up by 2 points with 1:58 left to go. The Wizards need to find something in these last few minutes to get the dub and get through to that game 7. So let's see what they can come up with. It's going to be a Knicks inbounding the ball though, with just under 2 minutes left to go. You got McBride at the top of the arc, getting a screen on the left-hand side, plays it over to Brunson in the post. He comes through for the layup, and Shaq unfortunately gets called on the shooting foul. He's on his 4th personal foul, so hopefully he doesn't get fouled out. Brunson's going to take the first one to put them up to 120, and the second one is also good over there. So they're 4 points ahead of this Wizards team, and Kuzma is still playing even though he's slightly injured. He's putting in the shift to get the Wizards through. So Kuzma gets the screen from Shaq on the right-hand side. He pulls up. No, he plays it over to Shaq to come through for the dunk to put them within 2 points. McBride trying to find space. He plays it over to Brunson again in the post against Jordan Poole. He goes up for the shot. He misses it, and Poole's able to get the rebound. So the Wizards could find themselves being ahead if Poole gets this shot off. He does, but unfortunately he misses that one, and at least he's gone to the line for 2. So can he make both of these to tie up the game to hopefully give the Wizards a chance to get this to a game 7? He knocks down the first one, which is good, and the second one, can it go in? Yes, it can. So he's tied up the game. 1 minute 15 left to go. What are the Knicks going to do to respond? You got Hart out for 3, wide open, and he misses the shot. That's a big miss from Hart over there. So you got Avdia playing it over to Kuzma. Kuzma goes up for the shot, and he makes it off of the backboard to put them up by 2 points. So they'll play it over to Brunson on the left-hand side. He's driven in, and he's got the shot off and the bucket made to tie up the game again with just under 50 seconds left to go. You got Kuzma driving in, getting the shot off, but this time it's a missed one. And that is not great for the Wizards at all. As the Knicks come the other way, McBride with the floater. He misses the shot, and the Wizards are able to get the rebound. Avdia plays it over to Kuzma, who comes through with the one-handed slam to put them up to a 2-point lead. The Knicks are in trouble now as they call timeout. It's Brunson up against Poole on the left-hand side. He's found the space to get the shot off. He's missed it though, and Poole gets the rebound and gets fouled over there by Brunson. We got Jordan Poole at the free throw line. He knocks down the first one to put him up to a 3-point lead, and the second one is also good as well. So it's a 4-point lead for the Wizards. 16 seconds for the Knicks to try and make this comeback over here. They play over to Hart on the left-hand side, and he sinks the triple to put them within 1 point of the Wizards. They're going to intentionally foul here to send Jordan Poole back to the line, and he really needs to make these 2 free throws. The first one was good to put them up by 2 points, and so's the second one. So it's back to a 3-point lead for the Wizards. 9.8 seconds left to go. Can the Knicks tie up the game? They played it over to Bogdanovic. He's gone for a 2 though, and he's made the shot, but with 3.4 seconds left to go, the Wizards call time. So the Wizards are probably going to get sent to the line. It's going to be Jordan Poole getting sent to the line, but Brunson is fouled out for these final few seconds. So can Jordan Poole knock these 2 shots down to give them a bit more breathing room? He makes the first one to put them up by 2 points, and the second one is also good. So it's back to that 3-point lead for the Wizards. The Knicks down to the final few seconds. It's going to be a heave from Cameron Payne and a missed shot over there. So the Washington Wizards have managed to force this to a game 7. Yeah, Jalen Brunson putting up 42 points, Bogdanovic on 27, but Kuzma and Poole combining for 43, with Shaq getting 16, 8, and 2 to help them through. So the Wizards are at home for game 7. Can they hold on and get the win, or is it going to be another close game? It's looking like it's close. There's 1 point in it with 1 minute 32 left to go. Hopefully the Wizards are inbounding the ball, and they are, which is great to see. So can the Wizards find something to open up a bit of a gap? This would be a massive comeback from them to get the game won. But Kuzma, he's still holding that injury. He gets the screen on the right-hand side. He pulls up for the three-pointer, and he sinks it to put them up by 4 points. Let's see what Brunson and the Knicks are going to do to respond. He's driving in on the left-hand side. He gets the shot off, but it's a missed one as Kuzma's able to get the rebound. Kuzma playing it over to Bagley III on the right-hand side. He plays it over to Shaq, who's also got a slight injury on him as well, which isn't good at all if these guys can make it further than this round. Bagley's going to set the screen on the right-hand side. Kuzma for three, and he misses that one. Bagley able to get the rebound over to Shaq, back out to Bagley, back over to Shaq. I thought he might have pulled the trigger on the three-pointer, but I don't think we're going to see Shaq knock down a three. Kuzma, however, missing that one again. McBride plays it over to Robinson. He gets the shot off, but it's a missed one as the Wizards are able to get another rebound, and the Knicks just intentionally foul. And the Wizards make both their free throws to put them up by 6 points in this game. It's not looking good for the New York Knicks as they call timeout with 28 seconds left to go. Got Brunson trying to find something. He goes up for the layup, and it's a made shot to put them within 4. Kispert unable to make both his free throws, which is not good at all. So the Knicks are going to come the other way. Back out to Brunson. He's found a little bit of space, but it's a tough shot. But he somehow makes it to give them yet another chance at getting through this series. And they're going to send Kispert back to the line. Hopefully he does a little bit better than last time. DiVincenzo is now fouled out for the rest of the game, but it's only a 2-point game. The first free throw is good this time, which is great to see. Can the second one go in as well? It just about does to put them back up to a 4-point lead with 11 seconds left to go. Brunson goes for three, and that's a missed shot, and I think that's going to be game over for the Knicks as the Wizards just run down the clock. And there we go. They've made a comeback. They've made it through to round number 2. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit less stressful going into that second series. So the Wizards are now up against the Toronto Raptors. We've got a decent team, a fairly young team at that. They got Scotty Barnes as their best player at 88 overall. So this isn't going to be an easy matchup at all, but hopefully we can go ahead and get through to the conference finals. Though we're 2-1 down at the moment against the Raptors, now 3-1 down against them, and we're going to pull the 5th game back to take this 3-2, and it's going to be another game 7 for this Washington Wizards team. We'll go ahead and jump in the Simcast to see whether we can win another game 7 in a row. Unfortunately not though, and the Wizards are going to be eliminated 143-108. We were absolutely cooked in that game, quickly going for 34. RJ Barrett and Barnes both on 26, Kuzma on 19, Shaq on 13 and 6 for us, which isn't great. But a promising start to this simulation for Shaquille O'Neal, making it to the second round of the playoffs with the Timberwolves going ahead and winning it all. Anthony Edwards getting finals MVP. So let's go ahead and jump into the next season to see whether Shaq can improve and how much he actually goes up in terms of overall through this player progression. He's going to go straight up to a 90 overall, which is absolutely nuts. Avdia up to an 84. Kuzma down a little bit to an 83 overall. So this is going to be an interesting season for Shaq. Of course, a big progression throughout the off season will hopefully help us come the regular season and then of course the playoffs. Hopefully we get a little bit further through the playoffs this time around compared to last time. So the stats are back and Doncic is getting a triple-double to get himself the MVP award. Absolutely ridiculous. Cooper Flag getting Rookie of the Year, Wemby getting Defensive Player of the Year, and Wendell Moore getting Most Improved Player of the Year. Jalen Brunson Clutch Player of the Year. Absolutely nuts from him. OKC going 64 wins. The Pistons on 62 wins throughout the season. A big improvement for them. Has Shaq made any of the All-NBA teams? It's not looking likely. Now in the second team and the third team as well. So he's not featuring yet in any of those teams. Defensively, he's in the first team though, which is great to see. Now up to a 91 overall. He has only got one more year left on his contract, so it's going to be interesting to see whether he sticks with the Wizards or whether he goes elsewhere. We'll take a look at how they did throughout the season, and this time it wasn't great at all. 49 losses throughout the season, only 33 wins. He had the team progressing fairly nicely, so I don't know why last year was so good compared to this year, but this year they're not going to make the playoffs at all. So we'll simulate through the playoffs to see what happens, and then we'll get into the off season to see where Shaq ends up going. It's going to be OKC in the finals. SGA putting up 38 points per game, nearly a triple-double as well for Western Conference MVP. Haliburton on the flip side on 25 points per game. The Pacers, though, are going to take the final. 12 assists for Haliburton through the final series. So let's go through the offseason to see whether Shaq makes any move to another team or whether he re-signs with the Wizards. He has had one good season with them, but last season was absolutely terrible. And it looks like he's re-signed with the Wizards over there, now up to a 92 overall, which is great to see. Again, the rest of the team kind of improving around him, although we haven't got another 90 overall player alongside him, so maybe they're going to do badly this season, although I'd like to think that they will do a lot better than they did last season and maybe even make it to the playoffs this time, if not just the play-in tournament. So we have Doncic going back to back with the MVP awards, and the stat lines just get more and more ridiculous. 34, 10 and 10 for him to get the award. Cameron Boozer getting Rookie of the Year. Anthony Simons, Sixth Man of the Year. Wemby putting up 22, 11 and 4 and getting that Defensive Player of the Year award. No award though for Shaquille O'Neal. The Nets going 63 wins throughout the season and OKC 60 wins. Let's see whether Shaq made any of the All-NBA teams this time around. He's in the third team, which is great to see there at 94 overall. You've also got Cooper Flagg in the Brooklyn Nets jersey at 89 overall, making that team. Steph still in the league at 39 years old in that All-NBA third team. Defensively, Shaq also in that first team as well, which is great to see. So let's take a look at how the Washington Wizards did throughout the season. And I think it's pretty much exactly the same as last season. 46 losses this time. Shaq pretty much has to leave at some point. Let's check out his stat line. He's up to 22 points a game, 10 rebounds and 2 assists. I don't think he's shot any more three-pointers, and unfortunately he hasn't. So again, the Wizards are out of this year's playoffs. They are in the play-in tournament as the 10th seed against Milwaukee. There is a very small chance they make it through, but there we go. We've just been eliminated straight away against the Bucks. So let's see who's going to make it through this time to the final. I think that first season has to be a fluke of us getting so far through the playoffs and the regular season as well. We got the Thunder versus the Knicks in the final, and the Thunder are going to pick up the championship. SGA almost a triple-double for the finals to get himself finals MVP. So what is Shaq going to do this time around? Is he going to stay with the Wizards or is he going to sign somewhere else? He looks like he's still at Washington. He has got a contract of 1 year only. He's now 22 years old and 95 overall. Everyone else around him upgraded slightly. Coulibaly now up to an 87 overall. So is this going to be the year they make it back into the playoffs, or is it just going to be another stinky season where they get a bad record through the regular season? This man just doesn't stop winning MVP awards, and he's back at it with another one and a triple-double throughout the regular season to definitely make him worthy of that title. Stokes getting Rookie of the Year, Bailey getting Sixth Man of the Year, Thompson Defensive Player of the Year, Wilson Most Improved Player, and Anthony Edwards Clutch Player of the Year. The OKC 71 wins and only 11 losses through the season. Shaq not in the first team, but he is going to find himself in that All-NBA second team. He's at a 96 overall, which is good to see. He's also in the defensive team as well, which is nice. And the Wizards are going 30 wins throughout the season. This Wizards team is kind of in the mud at the moment. They're not doing very well at all. They had one injury, but he was the backup center, which I guess kind of makes a bit of a difference because the next best guy is 70 overall at that center spot. But I mean, still, you got two 85 overall players and an 84, and they're still only getting 30 wins throughout the season. So they're not going to find themselves in the playoffs. They aren't in the play-in tournament either. So we'll just go ahead and sim through, and hopefully Shaq goes to a different team through the offseason. It's going to be a Thunder Bucks final with Antetokounmpo getting Eastern Conference Finals MVP, but the Thunder are going to be too good for them, winning that in 6 games to take the title. So come on, Shaq, we need you to go somewhere else. We'll take a look at the free agency to see where he is and who's putting in offers to try and get him. So it looks like Shaq's got an offer from the Bucks, the Grizzlies, the Hornets, and the Knicks. The Knicks would be an interesting one. They are offering him 4 years and he's very interested in it. So we're going to see where he ends up going. I hope he goes to the Knicks because they got a strong team around them. Bronson probably is still there, or I have to check their roster to see who's there and who isn't. But Shaq has decided to go ahead and re-sign with the Wizards again. Come on, you got a new roster now around him, so they got rid of a lot of players to probably keep him on, but he signed a 4-year contract with them for 204 million. You got Amon over there. At least he's an 87 overall, so it's going to be interesting to see who they fill out the rest of the roster with. Although I reckon it's going to be a bunch of rookies. And yeah, it pretty much is a bunch of young guys over here, and they're all below 80 overall. I don't know why Shaq decided to re-sign with them when you had the Knicks offering a 4-year contract, and the Knicks still have Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, Scotty Barnes as well. Why wouldn't Shaq want to go to this team is beyond me. But let's go ahead and just simulate through the regular season to see how many games the Wizards lose this time. Doncic again picking up the MVP award. What's that, like 4 in a row now for him? You got Carter Bryant getting 6th man of the year, Wemby getting another defensive player of the year trophy, and Bryant again getting most improved player. De'Aaron Fox now at the Nuggets getting clutch player of the year. The OKC, a ridiculous record for them. Shaq finally making it into the All-NBA first team and defensively as well, just behind Wemby in that one. He's up to 98 overall at 24 years of age, but the Wizards seem to be getting worse and worse and worse. 20 wins throughout the season is absolutely horrific for them. Come on, I still don't know why Shaq would re-sign with this team instead of going over to the Knicks, but it's not like the Knicks are making it very far through the playoffs either. What have they got? They went out in the play-in tournament to the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't know how this team goes out to the 76ers, although they've still got Embiid, Josh Giddey as well. Okay, they have got a decent team around them, but it's going to be a Thunder Heat final, which the Thunder are going to take in 5 games. SGA there winning finals MVP. So through to the next season, can the Wizards cook up something through the offseason and actually get some good players? Or is Shaq going to be left on his own to try and drag this team out of the mud? So at least Amner is up to a 90 overall. The rest of the team still not great at all. So we're going to see what happens. Shaq up to a 97 though. So hopefully he can maybe drag them through to a play-in tournament spot, although it's not really looking likely. We're starting off the season with a couple more wins and losses, although I say that and we're now losing more games than we've won. Let's get to the end of the season and hopefully it ends off a bit better than it started. So now we got Cameron Boozer getting the MVP award, taking it away from Luka Doncic. Andrew Anthony getting Rookie of the Year, Jackson 6th Man of the Year, Wemby another Defensive Player of the Year trophy, and Doncic getting Clutch Player of the Year. You can't leave this man out of the award somehow. Almost a triple-double for that stat line. In fact, I don't know why Boozer managed to get the award over him for MVP. I reckon it should have been Doncic getting that one. OKC 61 wins, the Jazz getting 59 wins. Shaq in that All-NBA first team. He's kind of creeping up the rankings as he's just one behind Doncic and Boozer over there. Defensively, also in that first team again, one behind Wemby at 98 overall now. Come on, his contract cannot end soon enough as the Wizards, they're getting a little bit better now, down to 45 losses through the season. They tied the record for the Heat, which does mean I believe they're in the play-in tournament. Let's take a look. Yeah, they're up against the Orlando Magic in that first round of the play-in tournament, but they're going to get eliminated straight away. The Orlando Magic, just a bit too good to them. Shaq carrying this team on his back, 44 18-3 for him. Amon on 24, 8-4, and then Crow Jr. on 22-4. But what did they have? Bailey on 45 points, as well as Paolo Banchero on 20. So they're getting there slowly but surely. Shaq really having to carry this team. But let's get through the main playoffs to see what else happens, and hopefully we can just quickly sim through all the rest of these years of Shaq being on the Wizards before hopefully he signs with someone else or the Wizards actually get someone good. Someone's got to want to play with a young Shaquille O'Neal down in Washington, surely. MVP award is jumping around a little bit. I've never heard of this guy, but he's the MVP this time around. Howard Warren getting Rookie of the Year. Trey Ulrey on 6th Man of the Year. Wemby, Defensive Player of the Year as well. When is Shaq going to get an award? I guess when he signs another team, because he's not in the All-NBA first team. He's in the second team. He's at a 99 overall, but he's only making the second team, which is nuts. He is still going to be second place to Wemby for the All-Defensive first team over there. Both of these guys at 99 overall. Shaq's still got 2 more years left to go. He is still slowly bringing the Wizards up a little bit, now up to 33 wins throughout the season. Let's check his stats because we haven't done so in a while. He has made the All-Star team quite a lot. You can see all of those accolades so far. He's kind of been up around 24, 23, 24 points per game. He's on 10 rebounds for this season, then 2 assists. Any 3-pointers though will go down. No 3-pointers at all. I reckon I'd have to up his tendency a little bit if I wanted him to knock down some threes. They're not in the play-in tournament until, so we'll just go ahead and simulate this one. But yeah, 2 more seasons left on his contract, so hopefully that's going to mean a change. And it's actually going to be a game 7 between the Raptors and the Kings, with the Raptors taking it. Sengun getting finals MVP, putting up 12, 7, and 5 to get that award, which is nuts. So back into the off season we go, and back into hopefully looking to get some new players to this team. Someone's got to come to the Wizards to help out Shaq. We just got to keep simming through these next 2 seasons to get him onto another team. And the Wizards managed to get rid of one person who is helping their team out. Amon has gone over to the Bucks, and that's a big blow for the Wizards. I mean, look at this team. Yes, you've got an 87, 86, and 86 overall player, but apart from that, the team is not looking great at all. So we got 1 more year now to go for Shaq, so he hopefully can get through this contract. And please, someone's got to get him onto another team, because I'm not having him on this Wizards team losing games and getting this terrible record. You got AJ getting the MVP award again, Caffey getting Rookie of the Year, Perry 6th Man of the Year, Wemby again getting Defensive Player of the Year, 18, 10, and 5 for him. The Wizards again not doing absolutely amazingly at all. Shaq now down to the 3rd team, still at a 99 overall, but demoted down to the 3rd team. To be fair, Wemby's also there as well at 28. Shaq now 27 years of age. He's in the all-defensive 1st team, again, just behind Wembanyama. The Wizards doing even worse than last year. I didn't think it could get worse than last year, but 19 wins throughout the season and 63 losses is absolutely insane. Thank God Shaq only has this season to play out before he goes to another team. And I swear to God, if he signs with this team again, I might as well just end the video. But Cooper Flag getting Eastern Conference MVP, but the Jazz are winning it in 5 as Stokes get himself Finals MVP. So we're now into the off season. We're gonna get through this, and hopefully Shaq signs with a decent team to give him a chance at getting a ring. There we go. It looks like Shaq has finally left the Washington Wizards, but where has he gone? He's over to the Brooklyn Nets. This is going to be good. I think the Nets had a decent team, if I can remember correctly. Let's go and find them over here. He's alongside Cooper Flag, Jasper Johnson, Koa Pete over here. He's got a good team around him, so hopefully this means he can finally do well. And it's a young team as well. 26, 26, 25, 23. This could be a dynasty team if these lots stay healthy and continue playing the way they've been playing. He signed a 4-year contract. I'm so happy for him. So we're going to simulate the season, and hopefully this might mean he gets into the All-NBA 1st team again and maybe even gets a championship. That's looking a lot better. I'm seeing more wins than losses, which is great to see. 55 wins for the team. AJ again getting MVP. Richard O'Neal, Rookie of the Year for the Wizards. They picked him up in the absence of Shaq, but Wemby again getting Defensive Player of the Year. What's Shaq got to do to get that award? Amon getting Clutch Player of the Year as he's still at the Bucks. The Bulls going 60 wins throughout the season. Pretty good for them. Wemby getting into the 1st NBA team, Cooper Flag in the 2nd team, and then surprisingly Shaq is not going to be in the 3rd team either. I thought the move might have helped him. He's not in the defensive team, 1st or 2nd team, which is really interesting. What went on with Shaq? Did he get injured or something? It doesn't look like it. He's still a 98 overall, and he's putting up some decent numbers. Yes, they kind of fell off from what he was doing in Washington, but he's not having to carry the team as much. So he's on 17 points per game, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists as well. So I guess he's on the winning team, but he's performing worse. I don't know which one you'd rather take, but he is the 3rd seed in this Eastern Conference up against the Pacers through the 1st round, and they're going to take game 1, which is good to see. Game 2 as well going over to Brooklyn. Game 3 going to Indiana though to put the series at 2-1. Game 4 going to Brooklyn 3-1. Now Pacers are pushing back though to put it 3-2, but the Nets are going to go through in 6 games over there. You had Halliburton put up 29, Richardson on 20, Johnson on 25, but Shaq putting up 27 and 5 to help them get through. 3 blocks as well in a single game is nuts for the Diesel. And now we're up against the Milwaukee Bucks over here. They have got Amon on their team, and the Bucks are going to take game 1. They are the 2nd seed in this Eastern Conference. 2nd game going to the Nets, as is the 3rd game to put them up 3-1 now in the series, and now 4-1 to beat the Bucks in 5. Amon putting in a big shift, 34 points for him. Look, we got Michael Jordan back in the league. Who is this guy? Malachi Jordan. They kind of had to throw me off with that name, but Cooper Flag 29, Harwell on 24, Shaq on 18, 7, 3, and 1. 3 turnovers for Shaq. What was Shaq doing in that game? He actually shot a 3-pointer as well, and he didn't make it, unfortunately. 2 from 6 from the charity stripe as well, but 1 3-pointer made. Is that his first 3-pointer ever made in his career? We got to check that on the roster. No, he actually put up 7 3-pointers last season. He made 1 of them, and I didn't even get to see it. This season, he put up 3 as well, but he didn't make any at all. This is interesting from Shaq, but we're now into the Eastern Conference Finals. I think this is the furthest we've ever got. We're now up against the 1st seed in Chicago as they take game 2 to tie up the series. We'll get game 3 to put us up 2-1. Chicago coming back though for 2-2. We'll take game 5. I will hop in the Simcast to see if we can win this, or is it going to go to a game 7? It says Shaq is injured. hopefully it's not too bad and he can still hold on to get through this game. Although it's not really looking close and it's going to be 108 to 101. So the Bulls have forced this to a game 7. Shaq is still on the starting roster, which is good to see. So a game 7 will go into the Simcast and hopefully the Nets can hold on to get Shaq to his first NBA Finals. And yeah, the Nets are going to make light work of the Bulls in that game, 103 to 88. Stokes getting Western Conference Finals MVP. Cooper Flag 23, 9 and 5 for him for the Eastern Conference MVP, which is good to see. So now up against the Utah Jazz, let's take a look at their team. They got a very good team. All of their starting 5 above 90 overall. I mean, ours is close to that. Shooting guard at 89, Shaq at 96 overall, Cooper Flag at an 84. So this is going to be an interesting matchup between those two teams. The first game going over to the Nets, the second game as well to put them up 2-1. The Jazz fighting back though to take game 3. We're up 3-1 in the series. Going the Simcast. Surely we can't blow a 3-1 lead. We're at home as well. So is this going to be a win for Shaquille O'Neal and the Nets? There's only 3 points in it with 1 minute and 2 seconds left to go. I want to be there to see Shaq win himself his first NBA Finals. So let's get into this game. We got the Jazz inbounding the ball. A minute is still a very long time to go in this game. So what have they got? McCoy off to Johnson for the 3-pointer, kind of rushed, and he misses that one as the Nets are able to get the rebound. Shaq still in the game. We got Harwell driving in and he gets called on the foul, charging foul on him, which is a silly turnover for the Nets. So can the Jazz make full use of the turnover? Off to Sengun in the post. He's going up for a shot. No, he's not. He's played it back out to McCoy, back out to Riley for a 2-pointer as he misses the shot and they're able to get the rebound. You got Pete driving in over here. He's got the space and the layup is no good though. So the Jazz will come the other way to try and get themselves back in contention. Sengun trying to drive in off to McCoy on the left-hand side as he sinks the bucket to tie up the game. So what can the Nets do to respond? They're in the last 10 seconds of the game. Someone's going to get a screen on the left-hand side, playing over to Pete in the post. He goes up for the shot and he's just going to miss that one, and we're going to overtime. The Brooklyn Nets are being pushed here by the Jazz as we now enter overtime. And we're now down to the last 19 seconds. The Nets are down by a single point, so they need a bucket somewhere in order to win the championship at home. You got Johnson at the top of the arc. He's just going to hold on to the ball for a little bit, trying to find a bit of space. He goes over to the left-hand side though. No one giving him really a good option. Off to Pete. Is he going to be able to get the shot off in time? He goes up for the dunk and he manages to knock it down with only 1.5 seconds left to go as the Jazz call timeout. A clutch dunk there. So the Jazz have to find themselves a good look. They go over to McCoy in the corner and he knocks it down at the buzzer to give them the win and force this to another game in the series. What a shot that was from McCoy. Straight into the corner, off for 3, and he sinks it with a swish. So game 6 is not looking close at all. It's going to end 130 to 120 to the Jazz. So we're going to a game 7. The Nets have kind of blown this lead a little bit, but can it be a Nets victory in the end? It's not looking that close, and there we go, 116 to 104. Shaq has finally got himself an NBA championship, beating the Pacers. He's not going to get the Finals MVP. That's going to go to Koa Pete, who got some clutch plays for us in that series as he's going to take that Finals MVP. Shaq in the last game, 25-8-0 with 1 block as well, and he's making his free throws 11 from 13 from the charity stripe, which is great to see. So there we go. Things are finally clicking for Shaq as he's now at the Nets, and that's his first championship with them. AJ again getting himself the MVP award for the OKC. Is Shaq going to get himself any award? Unfortunately not. Defensive Player of the Year again going to Victor Wembanyama. But let's see how Shaq did. Did he get into the All-NBA teams this time around? He's not in the second team or even the third team as well. At least he's in the defensive team just below Wembanyama there. He's down to a 97 overall, which isn't great. Standings wise, the Nets have fallen off quite a lot. 35 wins throughout the season, 47 losses. What was going on? They still have 3 guys above 90 overall. They've lost Cooper Flag, which might have been the big loss for them. Harwell's injured for the season, which is not great. And the Nets are going to find themselves in the 10th seed in the play-in tournament, and they're just going to get eliminated to the Cavs. This is not good at all from Shaq. He kind of goes up a little bit and then all the way back down to the start. But this team is still fairly decent in my opinion. Andrew Anthony getting himself Eastern Conference MVP. The Joker still in Denver getting almost a triple-double in the Western Conference Finals over there. It's a Bulls versus Nuggets final, and the Bulls are going to win it in 5 games. So let's see what happens to Shaq. It looks like he wants to re-sign with the Nets. His numbers are still decent though, 29-2 over here. I don't know why he's not making the All-NBA teams. Maybe it's his three-point shooting really letting him down in this modern NBA. But the Nets have lost another 90+ overall player. They're down to just Koa and Shaq over here. Shaq's still a 97. He's now 29 years old, 2 years left on his contract. Let's see what happens through the 2034-35 season, although it's not looking good. Starting the season off with 8 losses in a row. Come on, they got to find a win. There we go. They've got their win, and back now to losses. This guy is getting more and more MVP awards, putting up 27, 9, and 6. Is Shaq going to get himself any awards? Unfortunately, not again, as the Nets are going from bad to worse. 12 wins throughout the season. How is that even possible for this team? They still got some 90 overall players, but I guess there's just no depth, or maybe no one's gelling with Shaq. What's going on with this team? Maybe Shaq is the problem with this team. I know he had trouble with Kobe through their run for the Lakers, but I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. It's going to be a Raptors Trailblazers final, and the Trailblazers are going to take it. But what is going on with Shaq? He's got 1 more year left to go on his contract. So let's just advance to the next season, get this over and done with, and see whether he re-signs or even just retires at this point. Something's definitely not working. What's that, like 5 MVP awards in a row now for him? Bradley getting Rookie of the Year, Montgomery 6th Man of the Year, Wemby again getting Defensive Player of the Year, 19, 10, and 5 for him, which is absolutely nuts. At least we got a Most Improved Player on the Nets. Shaq is finally back in the All-NBA teams. He's in the 3rd team now at age 31 over here. Got Cooper Flag now playing in LA at 93 overall on the 3rd team. Shaq in all defensive 1st team. He was playing pretty well, but the Nets team were not at all. 9 wins throughout the season. This is going to be an 0-82 video at this point. Shaq, he's exhilarated whenever he sees him in practice. Those are his stats so far throughout the season. He'd like to sit down and work on a new contract, but I don't understand Shaq's mindset in this video at all. Why would you want to stay with this team when the record is that bad? Trailblazers again finding themselves in the finals, but the Bulls are going to go ahead and win themselves the NBA championship in 6 games. Willie Ingram, 26, 7, and 2 for him to get themselves the championship. Thank God Shaq managed to make a trade, and he's over at the Clippers. He's got a decent squad around him this time around, so surely this means he plays a bit better this season, and hopefully the team actually goes ahead and gets through to the playoffs. He's only on a 1-year contract at age 31, so let's get through this regular season and hopefully do a bit better than he was doing with the Nets. Finally, AJ's not winning the MVP award. It's going over to Leonard over there. Trent Chowns, Jordan Page, Wembanyama still getting Defensive Player of the Year trophies again and again and again. The Bulls getting 57 wins throughout the season. Shaq in the 2nd team this time around, and he's in the all-defensive 1st team again, just below Wembanyama. He can't seem to beat Wemby into the Defensive Player of the Year award. The Clippers doing okay, 44 wins throughout the season. I kind of expected them to do a little bit better considering they've got 3 guys above 90 overall and a really deep roster all the way down to this guy at 81 overall. So I thought they would have done a little bit better, but let's see what they can do through the playoffs. We'll simulate the play-in tournament. We're over here now on the left-hand side as the 6th seed against the Phoenix Suns. The first game going over to Phoenix. So is the 2nd game as well. Are we going to get out in the 1st round? We pulled it back though to 2-2 in the series. The 5th game going to us as well, and we're going to go through to now face the Memphis Grizzlies in the 2nd round. We had Shaq putting up 28, 11, and 7, which is great from him. So now up against the Memphis Grizzlies, the 1st game going over to the Clippers. So it's game 2 to put us up 2-1. I accidentally simmed the whole thing, and we've been eliminated in 7 games over there. The last game wasn't really that close, 128 to 115. Shaq looks like he picked up an injury during that series as well, which really didn't help. And now he's going to drop in overall. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does come the off season, because of course he only had 1 year on that contract. So Shaq has decided to go over to Miami this time. He's now down to a 95 overall. Again, a good squad around him, but he is getting on in age. So I think this might be the start of the regression, but we'll simulate through the season to see how much better he does on the Heat. So the 2038 season is over. Willie Ingram's getting himself the MVP award, putting up 27, 12, and 3. Shaq's moved to the Heat has been a little bit interesting, but he is finally getting himself Defensive Player of the Year, putting up 20, 11, and 3. This is absolutely great. That move has definitely paid off for Shaq, and that's his first award since winning Rookie of the Year back in that rookie year. Steve Kerr still at the Golden State, winning Coach of the Year, 57 wins for them. The Brooklyn Nets going 60 wins throughout the season. Why weren't they doing that when Shaq was there? I have no idea, but Shaq is not going to make the All-NBA first or second team. He's in the third team. He did get injured slightly through the season, but he is still going to be outdoing Wembanyama. It's only taken however many years for him to get up to that. He's down to a 92 overall. He's still there with the Heat. Wemby's only got one more year left on his contract, so it's interesting to see where he gets to. But the Heat are going to be out of the playoffs. You can see 38 wins, 44 losses. I'm not sure whether they made the play-in tournament. They just about did, sneaking in as the 10th seed. Will simulate the play-in tournament, but they just get eliminated straight away to the Hornets. So maybe that's because Shaq was injured. As you can see, he didn't actually play that game at all. So that's probably the case for that, which is a little bit unfortunate, but at least Shaq's walking away with some sort of trophy this season. It's going to be a Nets Trailblazers final, and the Trailblazers win it. Curtis Cartwright getting himself the finals MVP, 24, 6, and 5. So I reckon if Shaq could stay healthy, this team could probably take him a little bit further through the playoffs and maybe keep getting him Defensive Player of the Year trophy. So let's go through to the next season, but I do think the regression will actually hit hard a little bit more for Shaq, as he is still getting on in age. You saw it drop down in overall when we took a look at those awards, and I reckon it will just continue to do so as we get through these seasons. Ingram getting himself another MVP award, but did Shaq hold on to the Defensive Player of the Year award? Unfortunately, Wemby has come back to retain it, 28 and 4 for him to win that title. Let's see if Shaq made any of the All-NBA teams. He's not in the first team at all, not even in the second team or the third team. Defensively, he is still there. He's managing to pick up another injury this time. At least it's not as severe as last season, so that means he's down a little bit in the all-defensive race. I guess the team around him is just not working, or maybe it's just Shaq, because his luck throughout this simulation has not been good at all. I reckon his team is fairly decent. You got a 99 overall Stevie Harrison, and you're still not getting above 35 wins throughout the season. Does that mean they're in the play-in tournament? They are. They got the 10th seed again. They're going to go out straight away to Cleveland there, who are the 8th seed. So let's sim the rest of the playoffs. Spurs are going to get through to the final with Wemby there. They're up against the Wizards, and the Wizards are going to take it. So Wemby is going to pick up another Defensive Player of the Year award, this time putting up 19, 9, and 4. We had Most Improved Player going over to a Brooklyn Nets player, as well as Clutch Player of the Year going over to Joel Little there, putting up 23, 9, and 1. It's really sad to see that Shaq's old teams are performing well, or at least the players on them are. You can see the Raptors 58 wins, Orlando Magic on 59 wins, and Shaq's not going to find himself in the first or second teams. He's not even in the third NBA team either. He is in the first defensive team though. He's dropped all the way down to a 92 overall. He's 35 years old, 2 years left on his contract. Says he's restless at the moment, and he's not sure whether he wants to go ahead and return to Miami. You can see his stats have definitely dropped off since he's joined the Heat, from 19 down to 13, down to even 11 points per game now, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. 3-point percentage is actually existent, so you can see he made 1 3-pointer. He had a season where he put up 11 3-pointers out of 63, which is nuts. Like, he has been shooting some 3-pointers. In fact, he's made 16 throughout his entire career out of 141. So not amazing percentage wise, but for Shaq, I think that's fairly decent. He's had 16 years in the league, 27 wins throughout this season, which is not great at all. I wonder how long it'll be before he ends up retiring altogether, because I don't see this Heat team making it very far through anything at this point. You got Cameron Boozer there getting Western Conference Finals MVP, Lincoln Cosby, same for the East, and it's going to be a Bulls-Grizzlies final. The Bulls taking home another NBA championship. Willie Ingram getting himself Finals MVP. So the roster at the moment is not looking great for the Heat. You can see they still got that 97 overall, 291 overalls, but I think it's just the depth in players that the other teams have is not really good enough for this Heat team to even match what they've got. I'm checking all of these retirees. You can see Cooper Flagg's actually retired, 13 years in the league. LaMelo Ball's retired, Cade Cunningham as well. I don't think Shaq's retired just yet. I think he's got a couple more seasons in him, maybe just to see out the rest of his contracts but we'll head over into the next season to see if anything else changes. So Shaq has finally dipped below 90 overall. He's now at an 89 overall. This is his last season on his contract. I think it might be the end for him in terms of his career, but we'll get through the season to see if anything changes for him or whether he actually goes ahead and wants to re-sign. Shaq and the Heat did not do that well at all this season. Wemby's getting another Defensive Player of the Year trophy, even as he's aging pretty much 1 year older than Shaq at this point. He's still putting up some decent numbers. We'll take a look at the All-NBA team. Shaq's not going to be in any of them over there. He's not even making the All-Defensive first team or the second team either. The age is really catching up to Shaq, and look at the standings. 27 wins throughout the season for this Heat team. I don't really know what's going on at this point. Shaq just seems to be a bad luck charm for every single team he joins, because on paper, this team should be doing fairly well, but I guess Shaq really getting on in terms of his stats. You can see 9 points per game, 7 rebounds, now down to 2 assists a game, which is definitely not helping this team. So they're not going to be in the playoffs at all, not even in the play-in tournament, which is a real shame. So we'll just simulate through this one. I think this is the last season on his contract, and I reckon he'll probably end up retiring at this point, considering the regression has definitely started. So I'll get through the off season to see if there's anything in terms of player retirements. He's not showing up on the retirements page at all, but it's whether anyone will sign him during the free agency. 2K is definitely bugging with all of these player retirements. It's still got KD onto the Kumpo here, showing Chris Paul as 56 years old and he's just retired. This is definitely not right. But if we scroll all the way down, I don't think Shaq's on this list at all. And yeah, I think we would have gone past him by now. He's not there, but we'll just advance to the next season. He's not showing up on the player progression. We'll just double check the roster to see if anything has changed. I don't know why 2K keeps not showing people on the player progression throughout every single season. We'll head back onto the roster though to see if he's gone over to another team. Maybe he's just retired completely. I mean, we're in 2041 at this point. Let's go over to the front office roster. He's not showing up on the Miami Heat roster at all. You got Shane Curry joining the team though. And speaking of Curry, he has gone over to Golden State. So I'm not sure whether this is just a last ditch attempt to try and get Shaq some sort of silverware to end off his career with. He's not in any of the awards. Neither is he going to find himself in the All-NBA teams. Defensively, he's also not in those teams as well. He kind of was a role player on this team. If we take a look at the Warriors roster, you can see you got a 96 overall point guard, 90 shooting guard, and then down here you've got 2 centers. Shaq's now overtaken the other centers, and maybe he was starting some games. So they are going to find themselves not in the playoffs, which is a real shame. 36 wins and 46 losses for this team. Shaq was only on a 1-year contract as well, which is not amazing. His numbers did improve from what he was doing in Miami, now up to 10 points per game, 7 rebounds and 2 assists, which is decent, but it's whether he stays in the league now that the Warriors still don't win a championship for him. The Jazz are going to take home the NBA championship this time around, with Stokes getting finals MVP. We'll go back into the player retirements, and there we go. He has finally decided to retire at age 37, 18 years in the league. I think that final season at Golden State definitely didn't help. We simmed all the way to 2042, and then he finally ended off his career. If we go all the way down to the bottom, averaging 19 points per game, 10 rebounds, 1 steal, 2 blocks throughout his career. His 3-point percentage on 9.9. If we take a look at his 3-pointers made and attempted, 16 threes throughout his career and 142 attempted. Free throws made was actually fairly decent, just over half for him to make, 4,577 of those free throws. So not a bad career for Shaq, definitely not as good as his career was in real life. Maybe he just needed Kobe alongside him to really help himself out. He did end off with 1 NBA championship back in 2033, loads of all-star appearances, some all-NBA team appearances, and getting that defensive player of the year as well as rookie of the year earlier on in this video. And it's kind of fitting that he went alongside Victor Wembanyama, retiring at the same year. Wemby just 1 year ahead of him, but Wemby ending off at a 94, Shaq ending off at an 86. But I went ahead and simulated the 2025 season in 2K25. If you want to go check that video out, it should be popping up in the bottom left hand corner, and I'll see you guys in that one. Peace.